Stop the cap.
I really had enough of this whole life, so I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. Every white man, woman, and child alive on this planet. All of you motherfuckers need to all of you do. We need to go for a global recessive genetic purge by any means necessary. Every last one of you white man, woman, and child on this planet need to.
So obviously there are racists out there of every color against every other color. But what bothers me and what concerns me about stuff like this is that this type of anti-white rhetoric, this is the type of activism that is actually promoted and encouraged by the modern day progressive left. You can't say this type of thing about black people, Asian people, you name it, anyone else but white people. And this is obviously going to breed more and more hatred. And we're at a point now where the amount of anti-white vitriol, it is getting to a point where we shouldn't be surprised when we have people, flat out calling for genocide against those of European ancestry. And my question is, where's the condemnation? Where is the outrage? Where is the hashtag stop white hatred? It's not going to happen.
I just want to say this. I was watching a video, and this is something that's they've been picking at me because white folks keep doing this on social media. Like they're trying to place themselves as the victim because a black person says something hateful about them, and they get all upset, and then they're screaming like, oh, this is reverse racism, right? They do all this like projecting, see, they're hating us, and it's almost like they low-key want to justify them hating black people. See, they hate us, it's a two-way street. Like, no. And see, this is what I was talking about when I made my video about Israel, where the Israelis, and it looks to me like this is like a European pathology. Like these people are literally sociopaths, because you got to remember, like, the Ashkenazi folks are from Europe, but the same way that they make themselves out to be the victims of Hamas. Yes, Hamas attacked them, but like that shit didn't come out of the void. It didn't come out of nowhere, right? Like a Palestinian has good reason to hate an Israeli. Good reason to hate an Israeli. Palestinians have been there. There were a handful of Jews that were also there, the Mizrahi Jews, but I'm saying Palestinians have been there. They didn't come there by boat. The Ashkenazis came there by boat from Europe, right? They were largely escaping, because that's when most of them came, escaping the Holocaust, or leaving, after World War II, because of everything that happened in Europe with the Holocaust. So they fled, they left, and the white Europeans who didn't want them there anyway, were happy about that, right? So they went into Palestine, right, which was previously a part of the Ottoman Empire, and they started setting up shop and just taking the place over, right? And the Palestinians have been there, and the Palestinians are upset, right? Makes sense. So if a Palestinian hates an Israeli, it's not like it came out of the void, right? But the same thing applies when talking about white Americans. And white Americans really are obsessed with the conversation, about race. Because of, whatever guilt they feel that they don't want to, talk about. But they're obsessed with trying to like reverse the narrative and make themselves out to be the victims, completely devoid of historical context. I told you, when you're talking to white folks, they want to act like American history started in 1985. That's what they want to act like. They want to act like there was no slavery, there was no Jim Crow, right? And there was no job discrimination. Again, when you got Hattie McDaniel getting the Oscars for Gone with the Wind, and she has to accept her award sitting in a different section, and black people hear about that, plus all the other stuff, all of the other things that white people have done to create a system of white supremacy, right? You can't act like you don't understand why black people are mad at white people or upset at white people. When you hear about the things that the U.S. government did, the policies that they put in place to make sure that black soldiers didn't get their Medal of Honor, right? You can't act like, oh, you don't know why black people are mad. So anyway, I'm talking about this clip, and it's got, I don't know who the woman is. You know, she's one of these talking heads like Tommy Loren. She's on the Blaze TV, right? We know who runs that. And there's a black guy on TikTok who just went into a racial tirade about how, you know, white people need to be removed, right? I gotta watch what I say because of the YouTube algorithms. But I'm saying this is what he's saying on the TikTok, right? And I've known black people to spaz out like that, right? They tend to be a little bit more conscious, a little bit more woke, up on, you know, history, sometimes even up on history more than the average person about things that were actually done. I'm not just talking like Tuskegee experiment type of stuff. I'm talking about other things that are documented, but like the average black person doesn't even know. And over time, they begin to generate, you know, a contempt for white people, a contempt, a resentment, a hatred. And as far as I'm concerned, it's well deserved. And the thing is like, you'll get white people. This is what kills me about white people. White people will act like, well, I didn't do that. Right? That's what they'll say, right? But like I said before, whenever it comes to like white achievements, like anything that white people do that is a collective white achievement that white people are proud of, they'll take full ownership of that. You know, they'll be like, well, I mean, us whites, I mean, we invented the light bulb, we invented the airplane, we invented the locomotive, we invented the cathode ray tube, we invented radio, we invented it all, right? And I'm like, and when were you born? Oh, who, me? Oh, I was born in 1987, right? That's what they'll say. Then when you get to the negative stuff, you get to slavery, you get to, you know, COINTELPRO, you know, you get to redlining, you get to job discrimination, the Tuskegee experiment, you get to bombings of black girls in churches, you get to the Klan, right? You get to all these things that happened in American history. You know, they're like, oh, well, I have nothing to do with that. That was so long ago. That was ancient history, right? That's what white people do. So all of what they want to claim as technological advancements of the past, oh, that makes them proud to be white, and they claim all that shit. But then as soon as you get into the barbarism, as soon as you get into, you know, the massacres, the purges, you know, the taking pictures and bringing the whole family out like it's a goddamn picnic of black people being lynched. Oh, they don't want nothing to do with that. That's white people of the past. Don't be bringing that up. Don't be trying to lay that at our feet. I'm like, nah. You wanted to accept everything that your people did in the past. Why don't you accept this part over here? They don't want to accept that. It's real funny and convenient how they do that. But, you know, the part about, you know, black man foaming at the mouth, talking about how much, you know, he hates white people. Like, as far as I'm concerned, I'm like, yo, that shit is well deserved. That's why they don't want to talk about CRT. That's why they don't want to talk about actual race history in America. That's why they don't want to have those conversations. Because they're afraid that not only will it make them feel guilty, but they're afraid that they're going to conjure up all those feelings. And the thing is, it's like, what happened in the past has an impact on how black people are living today. You can't say that it doesn't. Especially when you understand legacies and generational wealth. I mean, hell, that's the primary reason, like movies like Belle and like movies like Queen, you know, where you have these white aristocrats and you got one white man that was out there fucking around and had sex with one of his slaves, or had sex with underage slave girl like Thomas Jefferson, and created a child, and then that child lives between two worlds, and then they're like, oh, you can't marry this woman, or you can't this and that. Yeah, because they're trying to maintain that structure, that white hegemony. To sit there and think that, like, white people, they've been doing that for centuries, and that black people aren't going to not like you is crazy. Like, that's just crazy to me. Same thing with Israel and Hamas. To sit there and pretend like you don't understand why these people hate you, or you don't understand, why they have good reason to hate you, is nuts to me. It's sociopathic. You know what I'm saying? Like if I went out there, that's like me going out here and raping a girl, and she hates my guts, and I'm sitting there like, oh, I don't know why she hates me. I don't know why she doesn't want to talk to me. Because I violated her. That's why she doesn't want to talk to me. And white people want to come online and they want to pretend like they can't understand it from the standpoint of group economics and tribalism, when they're constantly trying to, label themselves and define themselves, by their racial identity as white people. Like, when you hear the white nationalists and the white racists talking, and the Jared Taylors and the Richard Spencers, right? They always talk about, I'm preserving the white race. I'm preserving, my people, right? They talk about themselves as a group, right? But yet somehow, like I said, when it comes to the positive actions of the group, they want to claim all of it. But when it comes to the negative aspects of the group, then they want to be seen as individuals. And I understand that that's what people naturally tend to do, right? I mean, no matter what argument you're having, people always wanted and I always try to warn people to be careful of that. They always want to talk about us and we until the accountability comes around. Then all of a sudden, now they want to be individuals. Now all of a sudden, I may be white, but I don't have anything to do with that, right? And then they're going to sit here and pretend like they're not the beneficiaries of that. That even their own white entitlement isn't based on the idea and the concept of them being beneficiaries of that superstructure and hegemony of white supremacy. Meanwhile, black people operate in an existence of second-class citizenship because of the inequalities from the past. Not being able to purchase a home, not being able to share in the same appreciation of the home and the equity of the home and access to capital and all those sorts of things. There's reasons why you have black people who carry around a hatred of white people. It didn't come out of the void. It's because of things that happened, shit that was done. And it doesn't need to happen directly to you. If because it happened to your grandfather, it directly affects your starting point. And the other thing is, you get these white folks that act like it's still not going on. If white people don't want to be blamed for racism, or they don't want to be hated, or they don't want to be attacked, stop the fucking racism. It's been a one-way street for since the conception of this nation. This nation was found on white supremacy, not black supremacy. And then when you get black people that go and they try to counter white supremacy, it's just the dumbest arguments that white people come up with. So it's like a white person goes and they create a fraternity that a black guy can't get into. And then the black guy goes and links up with 5 other black guys and creates his own exclusively black fraternity. And then the white people are bitching. And they're like, reverse racism. And it's like, the only, you guys have your black organization. Yeah, they were trying to be a part of a multicultural organization, but you shunned them out of it. You didn't want them to be a part of it. So they created their own, and now you're bitching, calling it reverse racism. You don't want them in your space. Then when they create their own space, you're saying this is hate. You're saying this is reverse racism. You're saying that they're doing the same thing that white people, have done. What, truth be told, what white people really want is they want to be able to have their exclusively white, organizations. They've always wanted to have their exclusively white organization. They've never wanted to have these blended organizations. But what they're trying to act like is that black people have been on the same exclusionary concepts as they have been. And that's just simply not true. That's historically inaccurate, historically false. Hell, if it wasn't for white people's racism, black people would have gladly integrated into white society to share in the nation's wealth and the nation's capital, and also contributed to it because they wouldn't have been hindered. Their progress wouldn't have been hindered by racism and discrimination because, white people don't want to compete. Going back to that article, Ghost of White People Past, and all the shit that those white people were saying about Asian students and how their kids couldn't compete and how that would affect their precious white children's self-esteem. Go read the article. It blows my mind at how you can have networks or channels like the Blaze and some of these Fox News talking points, and they go up there with these just historically inaccurate concepts and statements about race in this country. It's sickening, at how these white folks come through and try to play, the victim and act like, when a black person doesn't like them, that it comes from, what do you think? It comes from black supremacy? We've never had black supremacy. What do you think? It comes out of the void? No, it comes out of the actions of what white people have historically done to black people and what they continue to do. Redlining, blockbusting, denial of the Homestead Act, eminent domain, urban renewal, convict leasing, debt peonage, COINTELPRO, mass incarceration. You see? Undermining things that were designed to benefit black peoples, like undermining Soul City and the funding of Soul City by spreading rumors. Richard Aoki and the FBI agent Larry Threadgill, who used Richard Aoki to undermine the Black Panthers, right? Assassinations of the FBI being involved in Malcolm X assassination. The killing of Martin Luther King, right? The assassination of Fred Hampton, right? The assassination of Medgar Evers, right? The bombing of the girls in the church, in Alabama, right? I think it was Alabama. It's Alabama or Georgia, right? All of these things. Like how you all can sit there and watch a movie like 12 Years a Slave and be like, I don't know why these black people hate us. Like, that is mind-boggling to me. That's mind-boggling to me. And I don't know, who these people are. Like I got a phone call from a white friend of mine that was on a plane, and apparently on the plane they had 12 Years a Slave playing. And he called me, and because we had been having these racial conversations, and he was like, my God, how could you? He's like, he just said point blank, he was like, I don't even know how you can do that to people, man. He's like, I don't know, he's like, I don't know what type of sickness white people had to have to do that to another group of people. And the scene that bothered him the most was the whole thing about the Williepete and the soap, and the fact that he still beat her. And so he was fucked up about it. That he was fucked up for a good 2-3 weeks after seeing that movie. Because we had been talking about it, and I'm like, you don't really comprehend the impact of slavery. And then Jim Crow. It didn't get better after slavery. Then you had sharecropping, and you had chain gangs. You know what I mean? And then you had, the type of situation like what happened to Emmett Till. You couldn't use this water fountain. My own mother could not buy a jacket at fucking Macy's, because if she bought the jacket, if she put the jacket on, God forbid she had nigger cooties, and we couldn't have the nigger cooties come off of my mother and end up on some precious white girl that would be trying the same jacket on. Macy's, John Wanamaker, that doesn't even fucking exist anymore. That's what my own mother went through. This is one generation away from me. So, but yet you got white people online acting like this shit is fucking ancient goddamn history. The white people in America, not all of you. Let me put my disclaimer out there. But white people in America have a fucking sickness. They have a sickness. Okay? A lot of you all are sociopaths. Point blank period. Sociopaths. And it's crazy how you'll sit there, you put people in these fucked up conditions, in these fucked up situations, right? Which there's no telling how somebody's going to react and respond to that. Because nobody's supposed to be in those conditions. And then when they react and they respond in a way that is violent or detrimental to you, or you know, they voice their frustrations and everything, then you start crying and act like their words are worse than what white people actually did. That's insane. I would much rather you all just shut up about it, or at the very least, you know, say, hey, let's stop being racist. When we see racism, let's call it out. Right? Especially the way, like, and this is what I'm saying, like, I can respect a white supremacist that's just like, we want power, and it's all about power, and we want to control everything and crush everyone, and it's about power. I actually have more respect for the white supremacists than the white people who, they low-key want the same power, but they want to be seen as benevolent. They want to be seen as righteous and just, and then sprinkle some white Christianity on top of that, but that's not how they move. They want everybody to see them in a manner in which they're not. Like, they're not. Like, they're evil. They do evil shit. But then they want you to see them as the most angelic people that have ever fucking blessed this earth. It's insanity. And again, you didn't just do it to black people. It'd be one thing if it was just like a black and white thing. No, you did it to black people. You did it to the Arabs. You did it to the Indians. You did it to the Asians. Again, go look up fucking the Battle of Plassey. Go look up, you know, the Opium Wars in China. Go look it up, the way that they forced themselves into Japan. Go look at the eradication of the Native. What evil shit haven't y'all done? You did it to everybody. Nobody else can say that. Nobody else can say, we went around the world and we were just fucking with people and we fucked them up and we spread disease and we fucking, you know, we put puppets in power and despots in power, and we caused all type of civil rights violations even within their own nations because we kept these evil, corrupt dictators who served our purpose in positions of power. Who else, what other race of people can say that they've done some shit like that globally? Nobody. Nobody else can say that. Sorry, you don't get to be quote unquote good white people. You don't get to be that. Okay? You don't. Just like we see with this dude in Maine shooting the fucking place up, and he was killing other white people. Y'all have a pathology that you try to hide. You don't want to address it. You don't want to talk about it. It's like talking about white serial killers. Like y'all got shit going. You want to label everybody else. You know what I mean? Black people are thugs. Muslims are terrorists. You know, fucking Asian people, they spread disease, right? What other shit that y'all want to throw up? Mexicans are lazy. When they're in Mexico, they're lazy, but when they come here, they're hard workers, and then you use them against black people and say that they work harder than black people, right? Asians, you know, you hate Asians until, you know, Asians help dismantle affirmative action, and then you talk about how smart they are, but then we don't see Asians in leadership positions in America, right? We don't see Asian CEOs all over the place, right? Only 2 of the top CEOs in the top 20 Fortune 500 companies are Asian, and I think it's like fucking Google and what's the other one? I don't know if it's Alphabet, but you know, it's like fucking one of those companies. Okay? And that's it. I'm like, why don't we see more Asians in leadership positions if it's all about meritocracy and it's not about, you know, again, keeping the Asians as the middleman and you know, selling the idea of, you know, that, oh, they're so smart and we recognize that. No, you don't. No, you don't. Again, going back to that article, goes to white people past. You know, I'm just saying, like, this is my response to this fucking video. I'll put it in the description box. Y'all can watch it. You know, and it's and again, you know, what the black guy is saying, that's not something that I would say, you know, out loud, right? That's not even something that I encourage, right? But I understand where his anger is coming from. I understand that shit. You know, and the crazy thing is, like you can have black people, they can talk crazy about white people, you know, say they hate white people, all whatever they want to say, right? There have been more incidences of white people attacking black people and shooting the fucking place up than black people going in and trying to purge white people. Black people voicing their opinions, voicing their frustrations is nothing compared to white people actually acting on it. Like, white people in America should be thankful that black people don't go out here and act like Hamas. They should be thankful of that shit. That most black people, the black people always like, oh, black people are bringing up the past and whatnot because white people don't want to acknowledge it. And they don't want to correct the actions of the past. But most black people want to move forward. They're just not going to ignore the past, like how you want them to do. You know, just like how y'all say, you know, 9/11, never forget. Right? But when it comes to, you know, the experience that my mother went through, you know, of, you know, her and her nigga cooties when it came to putting on a jacket at fucking Macy's, you want her to forget that. You want her to overlook that, to act like it didn't happen. And you want the whole collective of black people to act like black people didn't go through not just slavery, but 100 years of Jim Crow. Fuck you. Fuck out of my face with that bullshit. You know, and I mean, even reading the comments, and you can read the comments, you know, even the comments are racist. The comments are filled with just like these racist canned talking points, you know, that you hear all the time. Oh, it's black people. Oh, they're playing the victim. Black people are the victims of white supremacy because black people are seen as the enemies of white supremacy. Let's not play dumb. You know, like, it just irritates me because, first off, like, in my opinion, these white folks ain't even all that smart. You know what I mean? They come out and they think that they could throw up these like empty platitudes and these canned responses that they got from Fox News, and they really do think that they're saying something. And I'm like, we know you better than you know yourselves, because we've had to know you in order to survive this motherfucker, in order to navigate around your bullshit. Which is why black people, we got telepathy like a motherfucker. We walk into all white spaces and we look at each other and we give each other the eye. Yeah, so nigga, if anything pops off, I got your back and you got mine. I know that's right. You know what I mean? You know, if motherfucker starts tilting his head like exits over here. Yeah, because we know. We know. We look at each other like, hey, these white folks now, you know how they can get rowdy. You know, so we know you better than you know yourselves. And it's amazing how you get these white people. They're so oblivious to race. Black people have to be familiar with race because it's a survival mechanism. We gotta be on our toes when it comes to white people doing shit. Like, we can predict shit that y'all do before you do it. We're like, watch. We be sitting there and we be like, watch. Here it come. Watch. Right? And then y'all say some dumb shit that we fucking predicted. Told you. He had his eye on me as soon as I walked in this motherfucker. Told you. You know what I mean? We know that you all have these pathologies. We know it. You all are not self-aware. You think you're not self-aware. The vast majority of you are not. Oh man, I had to get this one off my chest, because just sitting there watching it and reading the comments and all this self-righteous indignation and all, and where's the hate police? Huh? I mean, this is just a hate crime, reverse racism, just acting like it comes out of the void. Is it some cool shit for him to say? No, it's not some cool shit for him to say. But that's not what I'm concerned about. I'm blown away by the audacity of white people to act like they can't comprehend why a black person would hate white people. That's the part that surprises me. Just like the fucking Israelis sitting there, again, thinking shit is sweet over there in Israel, having fucking parties and shit out there partying. I'm like, wait a minute. You mean them motherfuckers that hate you, that always throwing rockets? You mean they're like, they live right over there? Yeah, they live right over there. You can see them right on the side. See them, they're like over there, and they're kicking soccer balls and shit over there and everything, and throwing rocks at the IDF tanks and everything. Yeah, they get upset every once in a while. We gotta hit them with those rubber bullets and everything. But yeah, man, they live right over there, and you out here just partying in the desert like shit is sweet. You don't think like one day they may just like pull up on your ass or something like, well, I mean, we that's why we have the Iron Dome. Yeah, Iron Dome, Schmeiron Dome. I'm saying they can still pull up. I mean, it's just a fucking wired fence. You know what I'm saying? Like if they got rockets, they definitely got explosives to blow the fence up and roll through that motherfucker. Oh, they would never do that. That's an automatic death sentence. They please. Who can fuck with the IDF? And we, not only that, we're backed by the U.S. military, so we're goody. I'm like, okay, you goody. Okay, all right. You know what I mean? But to sit there and pretend like and then try to tie it to, they hate us because they're Muslim. No, they don't hate you because they're Muslim. They hate you because you got them living in an open air prison. That's why they fucking hate you. And looking at white people in America and looking at the Israelis and recognizing that both of these people, like 40 to 45% of Israel is Ashkenazi and they're European. You know what I mean? I'm like, y'all share, it's crazy for like, especially the Jewish people. I'm like, you share the same mentality that the Europeans that oppressed you had against you, and then you adopted the same shit and then took it down and started fucking with the damn Palestinians. You took the mentality of the Nazis, you took the mentality of the other white people that had nothing but contempt for you, and then you took it into the Middle East and dumped it on the Arab. That's crazy. And then you got the audacity to sit there and act like you don't understand why they can't stand your fucking ass. And the same thing applies to white Americans. Really? 255 years of fucking slavery, 100 years of Jim Crow, and again, that even after, 1965, that racism didn't just evaporate. You know what I'm saying? Like freaking, Michael Jackson was the first black man to be allowed on MTV, and that was in the fucking 80s. It's like motherfuckers were actually having a discussion like, we can't have a black guy up there on MTV. And y'all sit around and you act like this is ancient history. Even for you Zillennials. You know what I mean? Michael Jackson not allowed to be on MTV, and you were born in like fucking, like 2000s. Like that was 10 years apart. It wasn't that long ago. Or maybe 15 years apart. It wasn't that long ago. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like people don't, like when you start with the year that you were born, and then you look at like a racial event that happened before that, you're like, damn, that was only like 10 years before I was born, or damn, that was only like 5 years before I was born. Damn. As opposed to looking at it from the standpoint of like, oh, that was so long ago. That was 30 years ago. You know what I mean? It's like, no. Like if you look at the fucking the LA riots and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like you got people that are, what would they be? They'd be in their 30s. You know what I mean? And they were born in like 93 and 94 and You know, like the freaking LA riots happened in 92. Like that shit happened right before you fucking got here. But you'll sit there and you don't get it. You know, you got people that, 9/11, you got zillennials, you know what I mean? Like 9/11 is like a historical event to them. I remember 9/11. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like they don't remember that shit. And it's crazy going back and looking at the old pictures of 9/11 or the videos, and you're sitting here like, where's the HD? Why is it so grainy? Forgetting that all the TVs were like that, back then. You know what I'm saying? Like, going back to Martin Lawrence's episode where he was talking about the Hachitachi 2000, him and Tommy, the Hachitachi. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that was just having a big projector screen. That wasn't even fucking, HD. HD didn't come until like the somewhere in the early 2000s. But yeah, man, I'm just saying like it's the audacity to be surprised. That's the part that gets me. The audacity to be surprised. That's what I'm going to title this video. But anyway, I'm done with this. That's my video. SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe.